ye so ha o namo manjo shi ye namo so shi ye namo namo shi ye so ha ye je dang zo ge jo na la jang jo ba do na ne gyab zo ji da ge chu ye ji be so na ge ro la ben je sang ge ro ba jo je dang zo ge jo na la jang jo ba do da ne gyab zo ji da ge chu ye ji be so na ge ro la ben je sang ge ro ba jo je dang zo ge jo na la jang jo ba do da ne gyab zo ji da ge chu ye ji be so na ge ro la ben je sang ge ro ba jo be ge ju ye me do dang je ra le yi de gen ba de sang ge shi do mi de wa ye jo ge nan da shi la jo ba jo ro ra na men da la gang ni ya da ya mi Please adjust your sitting posture according to the 7 meditative postures of Vairocana. Think, all sentient beings have been my mothers. All sentient beings have been my mothers, not just once, but numberless times. All sentient beings are as kind as my mother in this life. Even though all kind mother sentient beings want happiness and do not even want a small suffering due to mistakenly engaging with objects of adoptions and objects of abandonment, they do not experience any happiness but suffering. In our minds, sincerely cultivate loving kindness towards all kind mother sentient beings by thinking, how nice it would be if all kind mother sentient beings were to have excellent happiness and its causes that are virtues. May they have excellent happiness and its causes. I will cause them to have excellent happiness and its causes. Lama deity, please bless me to be able to do so. Next, we cultivate compassion towards all suffering mother sentient beings by thinking, how nice it would be if all mother sentient beings were free from all suffering and the causes of suffering that are non-virtues. May they be free from all suffering and its causes. I will cause them to be free from all suffering and its causes. Lama deity, please bless me to be able to do so. Next, we cultivate bodhicitta. First, we ask ourselves, who should take the responsibility to free all mother sentient beings from the sufferings of samsara and low realms? I should take the responsibility. Even though I should take the responsibility, I do not have the ability to place them in the state of perfect, complete enlightenment now. Who has such ability? Those perfect, complete Buddhas have the abilities to do so. Therefore, for the sake of all mother sentient beings, by all means, I will achieve the precious state of enlightenment.
Next, we meditate on emptiness for a short while. The self and the aggregates neither exist as inherently one nor as inherently different, thus is empty of inherent existence. Set a good motivation. For the sake of all mother sentient beings, I will achieve the state of enlightenment. For this, I will listen to the holy teaching and practice properly in order to benefit sentient beings. That's all. Yeah. So previously we have covered the first 5 meanings of obstructions. So the 9 meanings of obstructions, the first 3 are the seeds of the 3 poisons: attachment, hatred, and ignorance. And the 4th one is the intense manifestations of the 3 are counted as 1. And number 5 is the grounds of the imprints of ignorance. So today we are going to start with the objects of abandonment of the path of sin. 바지 메람기 제라 디 가자 디 남돌람 세교로 통랑 남돌람
디기 난 도마 예스
냠시 튀지 바로 디 빵기로 고마 빵기로 냠시 튀지
자꾸 조지라 여러고 조지라 여지 조지라 네모게 제도가 말아 도마 네네게 말했어 도마 네네게 제가 말했어 조지라 여랬어
주수세대
도마
통방세대
조지니데 대수수 조지라 여서도 다 수수 조지라 다 도마 네네 같이 찍고요 말해 맞지었습니다 수수 조지라 여다 한다
On your mind is on, yeah. Your mind is turned on. Just for information. Okay, so continue. So the objects of abandonment of the path of seeing is endowed with two attributes because basis that exist in the continuum of ordinary beings. So these objects of abandonment of the path of seeing exist in the continuum of ordinary beings, and they are unable to generate the actual antidotes to these objects of abandonment of the path of seeing. So then these objects of abandonment of the path of seeing, its antidotes is they are to be destroyed by the supramundane doctrinal forbearance. So this doctrinal forbearance is the 냠샤 바지멜라. 데 또만이 제지도 냠샤 바지멜라. 냠바 샤베 통남 바지멜라. So this doctrinal forbearance refers to the uninterrupted path of seeing, single-pointedly. In meditative equipoise, uninterrupted path of seeing in meditative single-pointed. meditative single.
취지도 그거 통합 받지는 예스. 취지에서 통합 받지는. 돈내 지지의 명마시는 통합 받지는 예스.
Single-pointedly. Single-pointedly meditating. Yeah. So, in brief, when we talk about this doctrinal forbearance is uninterrupted path of seeing. This is brief. So, this doctrinal forbearance is uninterrupted path of seeing. So, and if we elaborate, then this doctrinal forbearance refers to the uninterrupted path of seeing, single-pointedly meditating on emptiness. So this is doctrinal forbearance, and this doctrinal forbearance is the actual antidote to the objects of abandonment of the path of seeing. So it means that this actual antidote abandons the objects of abandonment of the path of seeing. And so whenever this uninterrupted path of seeing is generated in one's continuum, then the cessation is simultaneous with the cessations of cessations of its respective defilements. So I repeat, whenever this uninterrupted path is generated in one's continuum, it is simultaneous with the cessations of its respective defilements. And in other words, these objects of abandonment of the path of seeing will be destroyed, or will be destroyed. So, and this arising of the path, uninterrupted path of arising of the uninterrupted path of seeing, and the cessations of its respective defilements are simultaneous. So the arising of the uninterrupted path and the cessation of its respective defilements are simultaneous. And then so then after this uninterrupted path, so within the same meditative equipoise, so after this uninterrupted uninterrupted path, then there is another path called path of release. So during the path of release, then this yeah, cũng đại其實啦，啲爬車未冧舉例嘅話，等我家嘅debat假或啲團音咗，團音原來呢啲爬車未冧嘅只啦啲冧住冧成啲
幫過啲，이게幫過嘅係講咩嘛？爬車冇啦，啲咩啲幫過嘛？
其實我家嘅debat假或團音冧啦，
假或舉例咩話？就我呢啲舉例即係佢舉例咩話差唔多，我家嘅debat。舉例咩話差唔多嘅，爬車咩呢？我爬車冇啦，啲幫過先係幫過嘛？
哦，假把但幫把啲對我攞，那數。
那幫下啲孬到啦啲。
假把呢啲人都叫嘛，土巴嘅對啦。
土巴都所晒嘅。
那數。
而且所謂嘅公園嘅界定話。
那數。Yeah. So just to clarify, so when we talk about the arising of uninterrupted path, and the cessations of its respective defilements are simultaneous, right? The cessations of its respective defilements, and here cessation of its respective defilements. Cessation here, it doesn't mean that it has already abandoned. It doesn't mean that it has already abandoned. It's just that it ceased in the sense that it is made. It cannot manifest. Yeah, it cannot manifest while the actual antidote is there, which is the uninterrupted path. So then within the same sessions of meditative equipoise, then after that uninterrupted path, which is the path of release, then path of release abandons that objects of abandonments of the path of sin. Yeah, so I repeat this part. So just now we say that the arisings of uninterrupted path of seeing it and the cessations of its respective defilements are simultaneous, right? And cessation here means that it cannot manifest. It cannot manifest anymore. So it is destroyed or it cannot manifest. So it means that it is destroyed or it ceases. It means that it cannot manifest. So within the same sessions of meditative equipoise, after that uninterrupted path is the path of release. So path of release abandons that those objects of abandonments of the path of seeing. Yeah. So these objects of abandonments of the path of seeing, they exist in the continuum of sentient beings, and because they have not generated the actual antidote to have not generated the actual antidote to the objects of abandonment of the path of seeing. So then the next one is the objects of abandonments of the path of meditation. So this is different from the previous one. So here is objects of abandonments of the path of seeing, right? So here, number 7 is the objects of abandonments of the path of meditation. And it is endowed with 2 attributes because, so basis, they exist in the continuum of the learner ayas. And antidote is they are to be destroyed by familiarizing with the direct perceptions of the truth that has already been realized. So the direct realizations of the truth that has already been realized means that on the path of during the path of seeing, so one has already realized the truth directly. So on the path of meditation, so one familiarize with that direct perceptions or that realizations of the truth. So you have already realized it. You have already realized it on the path of seeing. So now during the path of meditation, then you familiarize with that realization. Yeah. So number 8 is the defilements based on the impure grounds. It is endowed with 3 attributes because basis to exist in the continuum of non-final bodhisattvas. So non-final bodhisattvas refers to those bodhisattvas who have not abandoned afflictive obscuration. Non-final bodhisattvas refers to those bodhisattvas who have not abandoned afflictive obscuration. So in other words, these non-final bodhisattvas refers to those bodhisattvas on the 7th ground and below. And these defilements based on the impure grounds are the discordant classes of the exalted wisdom of the 7 impure grounds. So these defilements are the discordant class of the exalted wisdom of the 7 impure grounds. Yeah, and its antidote is they are to be destroyed by the exalted wisdom of the 8th ground. So when one attains the 8th ground, then these afflictive obscurations will be destroyed. So its antidote is they are to be destroyed by the exalted wisdom of the 8th ground. So when one attains the 8th ground, the exalted wisdom of the 8th ground will destroy the defilements of the 7 impure grounds.
저 주바 너지다 띵이지 마치면 되게 눈에 제 띵이 지는 좀 말했을 때로 와
좀 가봐
네 눈에 제자리 내 바디까지 방거스나 나 뭐나 도지다 띵이지 대이 또제 네 난치기지 당봉 뭐 가진 좀 있나 예 그랬습니다
가린 거 디 가자디
너지다 띵이지 난치기지 당봉 뭐로 그래
도지다 보팅인진데
오 띵이 제대로 나 공연에 지내 난치기지 당봉 가디 더 봐이나 예 반 가디
남기 뭐 뒤쪽
나 코너치 뭐 동료야 간다
요 근데 대기지 당보이나 대빵년 대차이로
빵이 전망으로 만들어 놨을 때
나서
상지사 나는
빵년 차이리 얘네 대빵기를 대갑수 나서 기지 당보라 얘네 대빵기를 시tip사디 시tip사디로
뭐 아빠선 맞아
시tip로
아빠한테 주말에 가서 또 시티만 들어 말아
유리빵사로 So number 9 is the defilements based on the pure grounds. So defilements based on the pure grounds, and pure grounds refer to the 8th, 9th, and 10th grounds. 10th ground, and it is because of the defilements. Yeah, so they are endowed with so they are endowed with 3 attributes because basis that exists in the continuum of final bodhisattvas. So final bodhisattvas also refers to those bodhisattvas on the 8th, 9th, and 10th ground. And they are the discordant classes of the exalted wisdom of the 3 pure grounds. So these defilements based on the pure grounds, then they are the discordant classes of the respective exalted wisdom of the 3 pure grounds. And antidote, its antidote, so the antidote to the defilements based on the pure grounds, so they are to be destroyed by the Vajra-like exalted wisdom of the end of the continuum. So Vajra-like exalted wisdom of the end of the continuum refers to, so this the end of the continuum refers to those bodhisattvas on the 10th ground. So the last moment, the last moment of the 10th ground. So those bodhisattvas on the last moment, at the last moment of the 10th ground. So the Vajra, they generate this Vajra-like exalted wisdom as an actual antidote to the defilements based on the 3 pure grounds. And the defilements based on the 3 pure grounds refers to knowledge obscuration. So they have no afflictive obscurations because they have already abandoned at the attainment when they attain the 8th ground. So, and then at the end, at the last moment of the 10th ground, then those bodhisattvas, they apply the Vajra-like exalted wisdom as an actual antidote to destroy the defilements based on the pure grounds. So, and Vajra-like exalted wisdom, So this 그절라디 도지타부 예시당 바치 멜람까티네 대한 도지타부 예시로 도지타부 예시당이 대 도지타부 띵인진데 전지로에 바치 멜람로 So the Vajra-like exalted wisdom of the end of the continuum refers to the uninterrupted path at the end of the continuum of the 10th ground. Vajra-like exalted wisdom of the end of the continuum, or at the end of the continuum, it refers to the uninterrupted path at the end of the continuum of the 10th ground. And this uninterrupted path, similar to the previous explanation, it destroys the defilements. So destroy the defilements in the sense that it is applied as an actual antidote to the defilements based on the pure grounds. Yeah, so just now we mentioned that it is destroyed, is seized, or apply antidotes, right? So at this, the explanations is similar, it's the same. So when we say that this Vajra-like exalted wisdom at the end of the continuum, it refers to the uninterrupted path at the end of the continuum of the 10th ground. So it destroys these defilements based on the pure grounds. So it means that it destroys, it ceases, or it is applied as an actual antidote to the defilements based on the pure grounds. So at this point, the defilements based on the pure grounds, which are knowledge obscurations, have not yet abandoned. So whenever these Vajra-like exalted wisdom or Vajra-like meditative stabilization turns into the entity of omniscience, then whenever it turns into the entity of omniscience, that first moment of omniscience abandons the defilements based on the pure grounds. So this, whenever this Vajra-like meditative stabilization turns into the entity of omniscience, then the first moment of that omniscience abandons the defilements based on the pure grounds. Yeah. So the kasatik namkin kiji thama se thambo se de ni pangye ro gi jala yang kasan de namdo lam se de ro yang namdo lam de. Yeah. And these first moments of omniscience abandons the defilements based on the pure grounds is also the path of release. So path of uninterrupted path and path of release. So one being the actual antidote that destroy or they cease the defilements, and then the second one, the path of release. So path of release is the one that abandons the defilements based on the pure grounds or based on the impure grounds. So according to this explanation, so progressively, when the defilements are progressively abandoned, then eventually one will achieve the state of enlightenment. So the actual Tathāgata essence, so the actual Tathāgata essence that accomplish the paths of the three vehicles. So the three vehicles refers to the hearers, solitary realizers, and the teaching Tevaro Akishala. So what the teaching ro? So the three vehicles, hearers, solitary realizers, and bodhisattvas vehicles, and the obscurations that hinder the direct perceptions that is free from the respective adventitious defilements are definite in nine. So I repeat, so the actual Tathāgata essence that accomplish the path of the three vehicles and the obscurations that hinder. 태바숨기 람 주베 강기 대화 시에 닝봉외로
아니 되지 가사다 먼저지 가사다 장주스미 가사 소리니 다 간다 랑두비와 대바서 나라도 랑두비 대 간다 가사 간디지나도 오라다 가사 관계 대화 시에 닝봉외 대다 대 로부지 좀 찌지 받아 잡아 무슨 통화라 개신기를 쓰리스나
Okay, sorry. So the actual Sugata essence accomplish the paths of the three vehicles. So it means that the hearers, solitary realizers, and bodhisattvas. Yeah, so the paths of the three vehicles and refers to the paths of hearers, path of solitary realizer, and paths of bodhisattva vehicles, and the persons on paths who accomplish the actual Sugata essence whenever they have the direct realizations of the actual Sugata essence that is free from the respective adventitious defilements. Sorry, I was a bit confused now. Yeah, sorry. So then when we talk about these three types of practitioners, right? Hearers, solitary realizers, and bodhisattvas. So then, and the obscurations, so the obscurations that hinder them from having a direct perceptions that is free from the respective adventitious defilements are definite in nine. So the actual Sugata essence that accomplish the paths of the three vehicles. So it refers to those on the paths of these three vehicles. So here is solitary realizer and bodhisattvas. So then, and the obscurations that hinder them from having a direct perceptions, that is free from the respective adventitious defilements are definite in nine. So it means that the obscurations are definite in nine. So the defilements that mainly hinder ordinary beings from seeing the modes of abiding are definite in four. So the first three refers to the manifest three poisons, and the fourth one is the seeds of the three poisons. So ordinary beings who are not free from attachment to desirable objects are obscured by the manifest three poisons. Refer to the first three. So ordinary beings who are not free from attachment to desire. So who are not free from attachment to desire means that ordinary beings who are not free from not free from the afflictions in the desire realm. ordinary beings who are not free from attachment to desire also means that those ordinary beings who are not free from the afflictions in desarium, or the not free desarium, not free from afflictions of desarium, I think it's better, So who are not free from the afflictions of desarium, so they are obscured by the manifest three poisons. And ordinary beings who are free from attachment to desire, so who are free from attachment to desire, so ordinary beings who are free from attachment to desire refers to those who are in the upper realms. So then they are free from these afflictions, manifest afflictions of desire or of desarium, mainly obscured by the seeds of the three poisons. I repeat, ordinary beings who are not free from attachment to desire. So it refers to those ordinary beings who are not free from the afflictions of desarium, and they are obscured by the manifest three poisons. And ordinary beings who are free from attachment to desire, so it refers to those who are in the upper realms, So so they are those who are free from attachment to desire, means that they are free from the manifest afflictions of desarium. So they are mainly obscured by the seeds of the three poisons. 차원은 찬디를 줘로. 찬디 수수기고. 공다 기실라디 찬디 수수기고 된 소리나 공소 가자 녀몽근규 가자 도바긴
대발은 자체가 잘 수도 지고들어. 그래서 지고들 칸고만 해야죠. 그래서 지고들어. 그 칸고미스도 지고 속에 대화시 민본 통하나 가르치 지고스나 다 두수지 사빙이 지고래 마도 사빙 지고 너무 문제 지고가 말한 대발 이제 비니 모두 다 뭐좀 빵사로 와. 사빙이 지고서 그때가 띵이들 휴청으로 와. 칸고만스. 띵이들 휴청으로 와. 그 띵이들 내는 너무 주도로 말와. 이제 비니 모두 빵사로 와. This is the content that dear Jiki told because that's how it is. Those who decide it is.
녀몽근규 대빵 말아와.
녀몽근규 어떤 빵과. 대비 녀몽근규 하려고.
대비 녀몽근규. 대비 녀몽근규 왔을 때 안디 대바세 대한 대감기 되나로.
대비 스테디시 녀몽 스테디 바 칸 스테디시 녀몽 대비 스테디시 녀몽 이제 비스디시 단 대발라 다가치 얘기 이렇게 간다. 대비 내려놔서 바로 차들이 다 차.
그래서 So ordinary beings who are not free from attachment to desire, then what obscure them from seeing the Tathāgata essence is the manifest three poisons. And then ordinary beings who are free from attachment to desire. So what mainly obscures them from seeing the Tathāgata essence is the seeds of the three poisons. Because when we talk about ordinary beings who are free from attachment to desire, it means that those ordinary beings who have abandoned the manifest afflictions of the desire. So of the desire, you can also understand it as the manifest afflictions to the desirable objects, desirable qualities, and etc. So, and those ordinary beings who are free from attachment to desire, as mentioned just now, it refers to those who are in the upper realms, right? And those in the upper realms, then they have very strong meditative stabilization. So while then they abide in this meditative stabilization, these manifest afflictions to those desirable objects or desirable qualities are abandoned. So there is no manifest afflictions in the sense that they have no manifest afflictions.
다 상세 파바다 상제 파바다 니네 뭐잖아.
아니요.
티체 파바다 그러. 나도 자.
That's right. And Arya beings are definite in two, Hinayana Aryas and Mahāyāna Aryas. So Hinayana Aryas are referred to hearer Aryas and solitary realizers Arya, and Mahāyāna Aryas referred to Bodhisattva Arya and Buddha Arya. So you can understand different. So you can say Buddha Arya or you can say Arya Buddha, or Arya Bodhisattva or Bodhisattva Arya. I have seen these two types of translation.
다 테메 파바들라 로바다 몰로바 니 요레스로 보다 테메 파바들라 다 테메 파바들 로바다 몰로바니 다 테메 로바 파바들라 다 테메 니에테 토나바 오나바 나자 토나 오나바 다 테메 로바 파바르와 테메 로바 파바르와 양아서 테메 로바서냐 테메 로바 파바를 빈치가 잡고와 테메 로바들라 소소지오 토나바다 니테 토나바 조나바 여러와 다 테메 로바 파바를 기시고와 테메 파바들 다 파바들라 다 테메 파바들라 테메 로바다 파바다 몰로바 파바니 와다 테메 로바 파바데 다 니테 토나바 니테 고나바 다 라자 토나바 라자 고나바 쓰다
니네 토나바 공나바
니테 토나바 니테 토나바 니테 고나바 라자 토나바 라자 고나바 쓰다 테메 로바 파바 테메 로바 와 테메 로바 다 테메 몰로바 세와들라 다 니테 다죠 먼저 다죠 쓰래 와 테메 몰로바 니테 다죠 니테 다죠 이래 테메 몰로바
Next is Hinayana Aryas are definite in two, so learners and non-learners. So learners means that those Hinayana Aryas learners, yeah, so Hinayana learners Aryas and Hinayana non-learners Arya. So Hinayana Aryas are definite in two, or they are divided into two. So Hinayana learner Arya and Hinayana non-learner Arya. So Hinayana learner Arya refers to those hearers on the path of seeing and those hearers on the path of meditation, and also solitary realizers on the path of seeing and solitary realizer on the path of meditation. And Hinayana non-learner Arya refers to those hearer Arhat and solitary realizer Arhat. Yeah. So Hinayana Aryas are definite in two. So Hinayana learner Arya and Hinayana non-learner Arya. So and Hinayana learner Arya refer to those hearers on the path of seeing, on the path of meditation, and solitary realizer on the path of seeing and path of realizer. Hinayana non-learner Arya refers to hearer Arhat and solitary realizer Arhat.
단 통바다 공반이가 보는 티베다 좀 도는 거야. 티베다 좀 도는 거야. 어다 티베 로바기 간다. 다 타바토야야. 랑 되발아. 계시 쪽에 통바다 공반이 해서. 단 통바다 공반이를 빠잖아. 내 티베다 좀 도는 거야. 티베다 좀 도는 어디.
The progression on the path of Hinayana learners is mainly hindered by the objects to be abandoned by the path of seeing, or the objects of abandonment of the path of seeing, and the objects of abandonment of the path of meditation. So objects to be abandoned, objects to be abandoned by the path of seeing, and the objects to be abandoned by the path of meditation. It refers to the objects of abandonment of the path of seeing and the objects of abandonment of the path of meditation. So the progressions on the path of Hinayana learners means that in order for these Hinayana learners to attain liberation, in order for them to attain arhat, then it is mainly hindered by these two types of objects of abandonment of the path of seeing, and the objects of abandonment of the path of meditation. So whenever these two types of objects of abandonment are abandoned, then they will attain the Hinayana arhat. 상계기 고방토야라. And the progressions on the path of Hinayana non-learners is mainly hindered by the grounds of the imprints of ignorance. And Hinayana, so the progressions on the path of Hinayana non-learners is mainly hindered by the grounds of the imprints of ignorance. It means that in order for these Hinayana non-learners to attain the state of enlightenment, what hinders them is the grounds of the imprints of ignorance. So these Hinayana non-learners, they have already abandoned afflictive obscurations, and however, they have not yet abandoned knowledge obscurations. So the ground of the imprints of ignorance refers to knowledge obscurations. And these Hinayana non-learners, what hinders them from achieving the state of enlightenment is the grounds of the imprints of ignorance, which is knowledge obscuration. And Hinayana can be divided into hearer and solitary realizer, but they are not distinguished here. So they are not distinguished here means that the state, because the stages of the modes of cultivating the stages of the path of hearer, and the modes of cultivating the stages of the path of solitary realizer, and then their respective objects of abandonments and etc. So those details are not distinguished here, are not explained here or not distinguished here. And Mahāyāna Aryas are definite in two. So Mahāyāna learner Aryas are referred to Bodhisattva Aryas, and Mahāyāna non-learners Aryas referred to Buddha Arya.
랑라 드바시와라 다 바치 조 스레스나 다 마다살라 디비 주마다 다바살 디비 주마디니로와 데니들에서 디미 창리에서 이 다르고 아니고와.
The obstructions that hinder the progression on the path of Mahāyāna learners are definite in two: the defilements based on the impure grounds and the defilements based on the pure grounds. So it means that these two types of defilements are the ones that hinder the Mahāyāna learners from attaining the state of enlightenment.
다 티치 물로비 반자미 대니모는 샤모비세데 다 티치 물로바 속에 다 반자티 응원에서들이 네모스네들이 개라고야게요 말이지. 티치 물로바슬라
방자 응원에서
반자 응원에서들이 라고야게요 말이지. 가르스나 그
방사리
반자는 아빠살한테 주마다 마다살한테 주마 그냥 반사로와 반사리 내 반자들이 네모다 반자들이 응원에서들이 라고야게요 말이지.
Yeah. So So there is no objects of abandonment for Mahāyāna non-learners. So as mentioned just now, Mahāyāna non-learners refer to Buddha Arya, right? So there is no objects of abandonment for Mahāyāna non-learners. Thus, there is no need to proceed the antidote. So there is no need to proceed the antidote to the objects of abandonment for Mahāyāna non-learners, or there is no need to proceed the actual antidote to the objects of abandonment for Mahāyāna non-learners, because Mahāyāna non-learners, which are Buddhas, they have abandoned the defilements based on the impure grounds and the defilements based on the pure grounds.
제바바 시바이나 예 다들레페 제바 뭐뭐 여러와 제바 시가 맞다 하는데 조이천에 마시가 다 하나와 조 지구권에 치와려면 제바 이야기나 나가서 제바 제바를 하잖아 예 니디라 친리 총수 중원에야 친리 총수 히디라야 친리 총수 애들이 제비도 뭐뭐 시야 여러와 나 뭐가 맞아 림바기 사 담보니 나 제바 받아 림바기는 뭐뭐 시야라 뭐가 지바지 애들이 또 이 제바게 시야 말했어 제바 라비 원시니까 또 오늘 같이 자신 있어 이러고 와.
So the 9 obscurations are distinguished in terms of the main categories rather than in detail. If divided extensively, they are said to be limitless. So these 9 obscurations or 9 defilements, they are the hindrances to the attainment of the state of enlightenment, right? Or they are the hindrance to the attainment of enlightenment. So these 9 obscurations or 9 defilements, they are the hindrances that hinders one from attaining the state of enlightenment. And these 9 obscurations or 9 defilements, they are distinguished in terms of the main categories. So rather than in detail, because if they were distinguished in detail, or then like in terms of Mahāyāna, then when we talk about these respective defilements, then, for example, the afflictive obscurations can be divided into 3: the great, intermediate, and small. And similarly, the knowledge obscurations can also be divided into 3: the great, intermediate, and small. So if we were to divide them in detail, then, or divide them extensively, then they become many.
통보다 공부 세워야 가지고 팀이랑 마셔보라. 팀이랑 마셔보라. 또 일단 이 라고 말다. 나 간다 통보다 공부다 마사사가 되게 정말 답사를 정말 저도 시리즈에 일이 쳐봐도 이해해서 그렇다. 어디로 좀 있어 봐.
Yeah, procedure without distinguishing. That's right. So furthermore, here is more like a summary. So furthermore, the manifest and the latent three poisons. So manifest three poisons and the latent three poisons are afflictive obscuration. The grounds of the imprints of ignorance is knowledge obscuration. The objects of abandonments of the path of seeing, the objects of abandonments of the path of meditation, the defilements based on the impure grounds and the defilements based on the pure grounds are persisted without distinguishing between afflictive obscuration and knowledge obscuration. So the 4, 5 to 6 defilements 6, 7, 8, and 9, then they are persisted without distinguishing between afflictive obscuration and knowledge obscuration.
당가서 지시시와 나간다 지시시 내셔서 다 그도마 베디 마샤우도와 지시와 뭐 지시시 보대로와 다 지시시 바라냐와 어디로 당도 와 나간다 뒤 그거대 간다 바라냐와 그거대 간다 베디 총수도 마시오 지시시와 여기서 바라는 베디 총수도 마시오디 다 담보들어와 다 디바 담보들어와 이제 샤파라 냐와데 무슨 빼마다 총발이 해서 빼마다 총발 다 빼마다 총발에서 빼마다 총발데 다때 모두 집에 채나가 시 니베스나 마가와에 뭐가 총발에 해서 아무도 지라 그들 맞지 되시죠 와 모두 집에 채 가스 시 니베스나 마가 총발에 해서 데 총단 엄마 뒤집어 지시 제와 아무도 지라 와
So then here it talks about the nine analogy and meanings of the obstructor. So obstructor is also translated as that which obstructs. So here we are going to talk about the similarity between the analogy and the meaning of the obstructor. So then I put it in the table so it's easier to see. So 9 analogies and meanings of the obstructor. So the first one is latent attachment. So latent attachment is similar to a lotus because it is similar to being joyful when it blooms and not joyful when it withers later.
다 나도 주민 이제 집에 내가 나도 주민 이제 나도 집에 저거 와 내가 그 줄어 주민 이제 신는 거 와. 주민 이제 나도 내가 주민 이제店내가 집에 와. 다 주민 이제店집에 내가 집에 나 다 간다 자유 보다 보면 가리냐 와. 자사도 되게 다 보면 가리냐 보다 뭐 가리냐 와. 가장 이제 이동아 와. 내가 집에 이제 이동아 이제 집에서 와. 와. 被提起的，那村民就是基本的，现在结尾的，那村民能够修成不了了，或者对，好像修成不了了，村民是能做的，对，留下结个修成不，那留下的结尾修成不的结尾的，留下修成不结尾的，那看到，我们看得见了，是吧？看得见了，好像结果的移动啊，是不是？从那个差不多看得介绍的，对，是吧？我到我们那这个看得见了，那是这个，看介绍的了，好像以后的先搞完修结也是个。 다 지금도 이나 다 시바 다 소소 내가 이용 기계가 다 보다 보면 가능이나 이 로시가 로티 수시가 봐 로티 수시가 다 간다 되는 주민이 나도 와게 단대샤 지역에 단대샤데 보면 가능이나 네 저도 이동하고 수리 통우리 네 하자를 가와다 신나 도와시 지역을 했어 지금도 이나 다로하 겐겐도 내 강사지 로 체체로리 됐는데 가와들 내두고 말했어 집이 너무 집에 내셔배 하장 가와 도와대 이게 말했어 이 게게 바로니 또 오모가 막 그냥 하는 거와 그냥 하는 게 되게 가와서 내고 말했어 어떻게 돼 열지야 돼
So latent attachment is similar to a lotus because it's similar to being joyful when it blooms and not joyful when it withers later. So this example or this analogy is a lotus, and then it grows from water and mud. So when this lotus is newly open or when it's a blossom, when it's still very fresh, and then it's very beautiful, it's very pleasant to see, and then when you see it, then you feel very happy as well, you feel joyful. So and then a few days later, then this lotus, then it becomes old or it withers. So after a few days, then it withers. Then the petals start to start falling down, and then is not as beautiful as before. So and then when you see that withered lotus, then you do not have the joy that you had before. So you will no longer have the joy that you had before. So similarly, the meaning it illustrates is this attachment. So attachment arises in dependence on improper mental attention. So in other words of saying this is, this improper mental attention is the cause to produce, is the cause to give rise, is the cause for the arising of the attachment. So because of improper mental attention, attachment arises. And this improper mental attention is very strong. So is very strong, then is able to generate a very strong attachment as well. And then, and due to which, then whenever there is an object of attachment, whether anything that the object that you attach to, whether it is a male, whether it is a female, and etc. So, for example, male and female. So when you see these objects of attachment, so when they are young, then they are very beautiful, they are attractive, and then when the person who has the attachment, sees their objects of attachment, then they're very joyful. So when they are very joyful when they see this beautiful, young, pleasant male and female, and then later when these objects of attachment become old, so when they get older, and then when their sense powers start to degenerate, and then the person, when they see these objects of attachment, they no longer feel the joy that they had before.
그들이 안 되지 시치고 소셜 공화도 좀 말했어. 니라 누가 좀 너무 대비시했어. 너무 대비했어. 와. 제당 발라나와 이들 와.
So the second one is latent hatred. So latent hatred is similar to peace because it is similar to a sting of suffering at the heart.
그래서 나디기 바티즘 뜻이 제발하시는 거. 나디기 제발되는 데로 다 해당 세워서 간다. 발라냐한테 딱 드라마서 다 드라마로 드라마티단 순간에 nda고 요레스로 와. 나데 nda고 요지 가지나 다 소자 드라마데 하장 희는 축보다 네 공부 서보는 와. 공부 서보. 와. 공부 서보. 가르스나 네 드라마데 축비치나 하장 공부 나무지나 콜라파리 나서 뒤에 코로나 창로부터 봐 녀지바이나 법에 나사 코로부터 컵스나 동스나 무슨 소지에 도와한다. 뭐 소지에 그 스칸 소지에 이렇게 하면 도와. 그 컵스 누구 제부도 단 디제오디 다 디제르깔라 다 파시아 코로나 밀에 신달 제사나 쿠시도 우도 파치와 컵도 제사도 코로나 강경 시부레도 코로나 시도보다 많지야. 와. 내가 또 신달라 될 두면 지야 이리와 컵 제사들 와. 놈 제사들 지야 이리와. 와 해당서 왔다 딜에 배셔고 대비 현 랑기 니가를 그냥 하던 동안 휴침부 지와는 시로 와. 뭐 드라마틱으로 와. 드라마틱 이나 누 때우디 누 대차이 jel라 현안 누게 되자고 코로나 누게 되잖아. 코로나 소라 니가리 상와. 와 드라마틱. 와다 누게 지와는 시 해당데 대단한 것도 와. 달라 대단한 해당데 줄라 지우디 해당되게 세트네. 랑기 니가를 동마 지야겠다. 주 요도메도 가서 해당되는 거로. 와 라지니까는 뇌증에 라지니까가 유소하는 게다 해당 공도 들어와 해당 공도 두자 들어와 뭐 라지니까는 뇌증 어다 대낭시 됐어 거로 단 먼저 정말 빼셔야 들어와 해당의 라지니까는 배 랑이 유소하는 내가 이나게 다 두시 됐어 거로 어다 대낭시 됐어 들으시.
So latent hatred is similar to peace. So because when bees are disturbed, like for example, when a person go and disturb their nest or destroy their nest, then when they are disturbed, then they gets angry and then they will start to sting the person. So they will chase and then sting the person. So after when they sting the person and their sting will left. The sting will left on the skin, right? So pierce through the skin, and then it will left. The sting is left there. So, and when bees sting the person, and then the bees themselves will die also, right? Because when they remove it, then their intestine also left there as well. So when bees sting a person, and then because the bees themselves will die. Bees itself will die as well, and then it cause pain to the person who get bitten, who get stinged. So not only the person who gets stinged will feel pain or feel the experience. Bee itself will die as well. So this the meaning it illustrates is when hatred arises in one's continuum, then it will causes harm not only to other party, it will causes harm to oneself as well. So it generates suffering to oneself and others, and then it also it also causes harm to the body and life of oneself and others. So basically, this hatred is the one that brings harm to oneself and others.
다 somebody 간다 뚱 들어와 다 somebody 뚱 발아냐와 되리 That's more than bingo that somebody, Nibo Tumala.
Timu and Palanye, Segura, and not the Timu Chipo.
That's not Palan, Jipa good machine or Jipa good show that almost the Palanamari in lower.
Palanye or Isla.
Palanova.
Sitting
Jipa good, that Jipa good machine that, and that this is actually involved that. Tumude, a bingo that somebody there, and you would want to do the essence. At the Matambo digital, quickly and Yaman to shit.
And the third one is latent ignorance. So we are talking about the 9 obscurations that we have talked about. So this latent ignorance then is similar to husk. It's similar to husk because it obscures the seeing of the essence. It obscures the seeing of the essence or grain.
That's the Matisse Giva, that's the channel Jesus city would dinner it. You don't read what and dress at dress at the dinner to Chida, a papa the sugar that is the Chida, Mickey Marina Hago, Tachina, read it. Kanda, a papa she machine was a great Sal Marwa, the Shilo Papa Pinga, doing us on this side. Then read it, Kanda, Papa Tikita, read the Mantua, and the 2 years ago, read it, Massa and read it. Toma Jiva, Papa di 2 years ago, Papa di 2 years. That day now she lower, that bit there, that bit, day now she, that kind of Papa di 2 and read the Poncho Maranga, read the Wakata, what, me, Mantua, Toma Tuata, that day, Papa di Namo 2 years. That day now she lower, that day now she, that kind of, that 2 days take it, that 2 days Maripa take it, that can't be him with Tuala, that degrees, most of the Tuala degrees. I've been paid it out on the road. Or Dembagosu Tuala, 2 days Maripa take it, that kind of Dembagosu Tuala, that degrees, Musu Tuala, Toma Jiba Chigeres, Toma Jiba Chigera. That was that you want to share that so you to the Tuala, Mus Tuala, the degrees lower, what they Tuala yes, it did. Paid in Japan.
So latent ignorance is similar to husk, so because it obscures the seeing of the essence. So essence here can also understand it as grain or kernels and so forth. So latent ignorance is similar to husk. So when we talk about husk, then most of us probably are staying in city. So then we might not know that in order to get the rice, that you have to get rid of the rice husk. So you need to you need to husk those rice, husk those rice. Is that a verb? Yeah, anyway, so you need to get rid of the rice husk in order to obtain the rice grain, in order to cook and eat it. If you do not get rid of the rice husk, then you will not be able to enjoy the rice grain. So and this husk, rice husk or rice hull, it covers the rice grain. It covers the rice grain, or it obscures the rice grain, so that you cannot see it. So it makes it not visible to you if it's inside the hull or inside the husk. So similarly, this ignorance. So this ignorance of true grasping. So this ignorance of true grasping obscures us from directly seeing the truth. So this ignorance of true grasping obscures us from directly seeing the truth. In other words, it makes the direct perceptions of the truth not able to it makes one not able to perceive the truth directly.
Rimbagi della logica di Jipar, Rimbagi Tagua, Jipa Tagua, Jipa, Rimbagi dia, Tag, Jut, Jipa Surwa, Taguet, Jipa Madana Sanjay to Marwa. That means what Tuala Kanda or Kishi Jipadi. that's this one that shiba 들어와. 다 시바 들으시와. 다 시바 도수 민주화 들어와. 다 도수 민주화데 다 맞장와 코타다 치수 말에. 다 차치 나 내발라 지비 주비 차라나 주도와 지비 실세. 다 디지털 kalma 디지 디시 봐야 내시.
차지 내 디지라 샤인베.
아무래도 지시주가 너무 되면 하는 지라서
차진지 보러. 그래서
좀 맞장 무슨 민주화데 맞장 코타다 치수 말이에요. 그 차치나 내발도 주비 차라나 주도 실세.
그래서 And the manifest three poisons. So they are similar to the impure substances of semen and blood because they are needed as causes for those with attachment to feel pleasurable sensation, whereas they make those free from attachment feel nauseous.
나도 맞지 제발이나 간다 데리러 와. 그 간다 디디지 군다 잡어디 나 간다 맞잖아. 부자산 잡아리스. 나 맞잖아 그래야 간다. 차라나다 못이 말에 잡아 잡아낸다 못이 말에서 와. 무슨 못에 간다. 잡아다 잡아놔도 되겠다. 다좀 와. 다좀 맞다 되다 못이 와. 다좀 맞다 요 말와. 무슨 요 말와. 무슨 요 와. 무슨 요 말에. 나 맞잖아 그래야 차다다 와. 차라나다 못이야. 다 차진 되고 띠미 주고 그래서 차진 다 잡아다 찌니게 서와 다 잡아다 찌니게 잡아다 찌니게 내가 띠미 주라 다 그래도 우리에서 잡아야 치 무엇으로 로바레스 이나 다 도순지로 다 간다 도순 근다 잡아대 다 수단 정마다 파바다 뭐 힘아 다 간다 파바다 뭐 힘아 파바되게 다 차단는 줄 알아 파바도 지려 요마다 차단는 줄 알아 도순지 도순보대 근데 파파다 뭐지야 수도 찌워지라 열었어 다 수도 찌워지라 여봐라 차진하는 여봐다 숨마 되려 와 수도 찌워지라 여봐 수도 찌워지라 여봐다 와 수도 찌워지라 열어 다 잡아줘 무슨 거 들어와 수도 찌워지라 열었어 수도 찌워지라 여와 순간 다 가르를 했으면 수도 찌워지라 내가 가시는 방어 도발을 개치 그랬어 수도 찌워지라 파빌랑 도발 방어 도발을 개치 그랬어 수도 찌워지라 열었어 와 파빌랑 도발을 개치 그랬어 와 어디에 나간다 나 무슨 그래 되는데 와 차다다 뭐지야 왜 차진되고 띠미 줄라 그건 누구래 대나시라고 대나시 다 두스모데 두스모면이 와데 다 파바다 팀고 말해서 파바다 더좀어지라 내가 인자 다 수도 좋어지래 이열에 수도 좋어지라 간다길라 다 대원의 희망의 로디고 차지 수도 좋어데 간다 두스 차바는 좋아 희망의 로디고 수조 대왕의 노여로 얘는 가고요 다시는 거 수조 가기요 수조 가디요 다 간다 수조 차바 구로다 수조 내가 가리는 데라 디쇼 노여라고 디쇼가 노여로 어디 노여 다 데레스 간다라 디쇼가 노게데 다 디쇼가 노게데 같이 가려서나 다 제수도 팔랑 도바라 계시다 밥이 나온 도바라 계시를 했어 이 계시거는 그런 대응 대라 가는 거도 디제스 거도
차리나 미나데 파바 야나 데 다죠 맞다 보러 이제라 근데 대양 데
차지당 가서 나
차지
차지당 가서 다죠 맞다
다죠 맞다 보고 근데 파바다 보러 근데 가서 디 조숨는기 와이나 디 홍조 당 미튠 봐 미튠 봐서 디 된다 디 기교라 매봐
차다서야 되는 거 다죠 진짜
다죠 마
다죠 지고로 나 파바다 못 디바스나 파바들랑 가서 두둥이 거 디마 되지라 요 말씀 봐 어디 봐요 뭐
파바당 미튠 봐
파바당 미튠 봐 파바당 미튠 봐
디 조숨는기 와데 디 파바 당 미튠 봐레
파바당 못 디바 이거 주제 가서 그 지오 파랑 토바라 코 개치 그랬어 그 지오는 파비랑 토바라 개치 그랬어 차 무슨들이
디 파바당 미튠 봐인데 디 차진 된 조르베
차지
차진으로 파바당 미튠 봐
맞네 예 간다 파바다 못디바레서 무슨 연주와 저러와 무슨 연주와데 파바다 못디바레서 가르치나 나 수도 찌워요라 chapa jula dede ke su jiwo yoro 고속이 popular 터발라 게지고 그랬어.
제자네 두승군규 안에 대 차진 수수 기호기 규라 요바 에네데 파바당 미튠 바 된다데 에네데 팔람 토발라 게 제게레스 수수 기호로 차데 나데 자좀 봐
차다 이거 다 좀 봐.
Yeah. So here we are talking about the defilements or the obscurations that obscures us from seeing the Tathāgata essence or the Sukata essence, right? So here we are on the number 4 defilement or obscuration, which is the manifest 3 poisons. And then when we train our mind progressively, then these defilements will be abandoned. And then when these 9 defilements are abandoned, then one achieves the state of enlightenment. So now we are on the 4th defilement or obscuration. And these manifest 3 poisons. Yeah, so manifest 3 poisons. Yeah, here you say is that those with attachment and those free from attachment, right? So those with attachment and those free from attachment. And those free from attachment refers, those free from attachment such as arhat, and then they do not have these 3 poisons. In other words, they do not have these manifest 3 poisons. So it doesn't exist in their continuum. And then those with attachment refers to those ordinary beings. So those with attachment, so refers to those ordinary beings in whose continuum these 3 poisons are present. And then ordinary beings fall under the control of these 3 poisons as well. And these manifest 3 poisons hinders these ordinary beings or hinders those with attachment from attaining the Arya path. So in other words, these manifest 3 poisons are discordant with Arya. So these manifest 3 poisons are discordant with Arya. So discordant with Arya means that these manifest 3 poisons hinders one or hinders those with attachment, in other words, ordinary beings, from attaining the Arya path.
시바가 들어와. 디바가 들어와. 말이 바샤사 들어와. 다 말이 바샤에 사대 간다. 사천보다 총말에 들어와. 사천보다 총대 다 인도지 대통령을 지리에서 다들 양자만 지체와 이시에 아무도 지보다 들어와.
And number 5 is the grounds of the imprints of ignorance, and is similar to the great earth because it obscures the seeing of the treasure of qualities.
간다 말이 바샤에 사대 가서와. 말이 바샤에 사대. 나 사천보다 가그래. 사천보다 총말에 쓴다 그래서 된다 지보와. 사천보다 다기가 사천보다 이기 사대 지. 사천보다 대 지는 가서 대 올라다 스탠다보다 원다보다 자 가리나 가서 사천보다 대 지는 또 해봐나지 통고 말에 통고 말 대 라발라 아요 뭐 통고 말에 쓰고 와. 나 대상 가서 메신가 보다지 단단 와.但是萨我考也还不么了，对的吧？萨加钱么咱们的萨加钱么的，那对我了，设置多少对我了多几考也还同么嘛？同么对的话，真的第三东西那个吧？哦，对真的说萨钱么的那个意思，萨钱么这个对真的，那没拍把他那就通过嘛的，哪怕哪样嘛，通过嘛的时候，是吧？通过嘛的时，这里没头把打死他的别效果了吧？这没头把打了。当然说如果结果用的对说举了也看对我是宁波的话当如果用这个举了事情我用这个举了对看对我是宁波的确实有点的话看对我是宁波的话宁波是吧对确实有点的那等于有把的那马里巴下去真的对马里巴下去真的对有把马里巴下去真的是吧对巴下去真的对看到都我那个托图马里巴下去是吧말이 바샤지 디네와 지 단지 말이 바샤디 말이 칸데와 니보데 다 말이 바샤지 디네와 다 말이 바샤지 디네 말이 바샤데 요바 데시도 다랑 줄라 말이 바샤 요바 데시도 다 원이고 토토고 말했어 말이 바샤데 요 신체나 다 원이고 토토야 자와니 요 말했어 데 디데스 머리 빠셔 되게 디 원이 그 토발라 되게 디게 와 토발라 되게 디게 나한테 디데서나 나한테 디시 머리 빠셔 되 가디 자와이나 또 원이 그 토를 해서 원이 그 토를 했어 와 원이 그 토를 해 맞아 다 머리 빠셔 되게 디네 여바 대시도 디네 다 가다 대화시 미모데 와 예배 다 간다 상지살이야 림바기리야 지바 타니야 뇌라 그 간다로와 다 되게 디네 머리 빠셔 디네 토토고 말이 원이 토토고 말이 지바 대다 가디 자와이나 또 원이 그 토를 했어 아들 잘 들자고 와
So the grounds of the imprints of ignorance is similar to the great earth because it obscures the seeing of the treasure of qualities. So when we talk about great earth, and then underneath, but then there are treasures such as gold, silvers, and etc. And this great earth covers it, so we are covers it or obscures us from seeing these treasures directly. So since we are unable to see it, then we are unable to obtain it as well. And nowadays, with the aid of a machine, then we are able to tell whether there is such gold or silvers beneath it or not. Otherwise, without the aid of machine, then we cannot tell whether there is gold or silver in that particular area or not, or in an area or not. So similarly, when we talk about this basic element, the Tathāgata essence, it exists in the continuum of all migrating beings, right? This basic element, the Tathāgata essence, exists in the continuum of all migrating beings. However, it is obscured by the imprints of ignorance. It is obscured by the imprints of ignorance. Since it is obscured by the imprints of ignorance, therefore, the nature truth body cannot be attained. So in other words, the nature truth body cannot be attained as long as there is imprints of ignorance. Yeah, so because it's the basic element, the Tathāgata essence, is obscured by these imprints of ignorance. Therefore, one cannot attain the state of enlightenment, or in other words, one cannot attain the nature truth body. So whenever one is free from these imprints of ignorance, then one will be able to attain the nature truth body. In other words, one will attain the state of enlightenment. Yeah. Those are the anything made by child of world.
그래서 기마타도 누구디 기마타도 대 신신세대 대 대방문도기 누구디 기바타가 엔디 신신대한 도바 대메바차도 that's all. Those are the anything made by child of world. That's all.
So number 6 is objects of abandonments of the path of seeing is similar to tree bark because they cease as soon as the sprout of the direct realizations of the truth arises.
대면 작업을 대면 작업으로 와. 대면만 작업으로. 대면이 돈받아 간다. 니그 집이 니가 사베다 나와서 오라 간다. 사베다 나와 그래서 와. 신주의 최충바. 신주의 최충바에서 오라.
홍방랑인데 신준당 총바로.
신주의 총바의 신주의 기다 총바의 사베도 와. 돈받아 기다 총바 최충바에서. 나 최충바에 간다 된다 그래. 사베다 나와 된다 들으시고. 사베는 수가 바바서 와.
사병기 바바.
사병기 바바.
맞아.
이런 도와리스. 이런 도와리 이거 지적하자. 나 누구 대표 사베들 누구들 다 맞춘 뭐 사베들이야 누구야 지우 그 사베들 파바로 가시는 파트너 와. 너무 사베 뚱도 와. 그리고 바바디 뚱도 와. 나 누구야 지우지 누구야 당보야 띠지 그 띠스뚱도 와. 나 누구야 띠스 옷을 내고 빠바도 파 내가 차는 파 되는 거라고 빠바도 되는 거와 좋아 내 빠바도 파 내가 쓰는 거와 차는 거와 이거 야고 지금 마치 봐도 또 들어와 어다 되는 하시는 거와 야 누구디 야 지우디 내 빠바도 잘 오래서 내 빠바도 잘는 누구를 줘라다 나 누구를 주사로 와 누구를 줘봐 따라서 빼다 돼 누구를 줘봐 나시는 다 가자게 다음에 다 대신이 뭔것을 또 배워 대신이고 스나디가 다 가자게 다음에 무엇을 또 비 때문에 받치면한테 지우디
가래 빠지면
통화 받치면 와 다 통화 받치면 와 다 가자게 다음에 무엇을 또비 때문에 통화 받치면한테 줄라 지우디 된 통발이 도는 거예스 야지 라이마 때문에 줄라 제바다 반자고 같이 반자데 가봐 진영이 라이바
통망디
통바디
방기 가기
내로레스 아카라 로아 내로레스 로아 그 통바디 내가 잘 그렇게 그 뒤질라 내로레스 로아 내로레스 내로레야 가는 그래서 로아 다음에 그래서 다 대신에 못 찍어 가지 않는 거 좋아 대신에 무엇을 또 통화 받치면 제바다 된 통바디 가는 거래 내로레스 와 내로레 다 쓰기 뻔하고 빠지 뻔하잖아 통바 뭐 나눠서 이 취사해 봐 대지서 통화 나눠서 이제 뻔하고 그래서 통바 들어와 방계에 있어서는 방계에 대지서 받치면 대지서 나눠서 지내고 들어와 되게 뻔하고 그래서 라이 봐 이게 여기 집어 취사해 봐 어디래 받치면 다 대신이 무엇을 또 받치면 지가 제바다 통바데 가도 그래 매도 그래 빠여서는 빠여 말이지 되니까서 봐 방계에 있어서는 대지서 나눠서 통화 나눠서 이제 yes ages 통로로 되게 많이 해서
네 통만 바지 멜람 그 기바 당에 대한 통방디 양 가게리
가는 거래서 내는 거래서 되지라
매서 매버차
내가 잘하면서 내가 잘하면서 나 빠요 맞으나 빠요 빠도야 말이야 빠마 되지 맞도 가서 그 대빵이 나도라 토고 와 대토야 말 나도라 대지스 토고 와 어디리 나 되게 빼니자 다다 지수아 나 사비들 누구디야 제바다 누구디 빠바다 잡아 나시 좋아 빠바다 잡아다 에 나시 다 다음에서도 통화 받치면도 지가 제바다 내 통바디 야로 내가 참 내가 잡아서 통바다 가와서 가와서 다 빼리니 되는 거지 다 노로라서 제일 뻥 맞기 식으로 와
So when we talk about these objects of abandonment of the path of seeing is similar to tree bark, and then is also similar to seed coat. So the outer layer of the seed, the outer layer of the seed, and is also called seed coat. So you can also explain. You can also say that it is similar to tree bark, is similar to seed coat, the outer layer of a seed. Then because the seeds, as soon as the sprout of the direct realizations of the truth arises. So it means that this Hinayana objects of abandonment of the path of seeing, they are similar to tree bark, or they are similar to the seed coat, or the outer layer of the seed, because when the sprout grows, is at first is when the sprout grows is still inside the seed, and then when it grows further, then the seed will split open, and then the sprout will come out, right? Then the sprout will become visible or become manifest. So similarly, this whenever when the uninterrupted path of seeing, directly realizing the Tathāgata essence, is generated when it is generated in one's continuum. So when this uninterrupted path of seeing, directly realizing the Tathāgata essence, is generated in one's continuum. So at the same time, the objects of abandonment of the path of seeing cease. So cease or become non-existent. So cease or become non-existent. So become non-existent, it doesn't mean that it is abandoned. It doesn't mean that it is abandoned. So let me repeat. So when the uninterrupted path of seeing, directly realizing the Sukkata essence is generated in one's continuum. At the same time, the objects of abandonment of the path of seeing cease. So cease here, it doesn't mean it is abandoned. So it has not been abandoned yet. So when it is abandoned, when the path of release. So just now we say that after this uninterrupted path of seeing, so which acts as an actual antidote to the objects of abandonment of the path of seeing, right? So and then after that uninterrupted path of seeing, the second part of it is path of release. So path of release is the one that abandons the objects of abandonment of the path of seeing. So when the uninterrupted path of seeing is generated in one's continuum, at the same time, the objects of abandonment of the path of seeing cease. So at that point of time, those objects of abandonment of the path of seeing has not yet been abandoned. It has not yet been abandoned. So only when one within the same meditative equipoise, so when one progresses to the path of release, then at that point of time, then he abandons the objects of abandonment of the path of seeing. So these objects of abandonment of the path of seeing is similar to tree bark or similar to the seed coat, because they cease as soon as the sprout of direct realization of the truth arises. Then with this analogy, then the meaning it illustrates is these objects of abandonment of the path of seeing cease as soon as the sprout of uninterrupted path of seeing, directly realizing the Sukkata essence, arises. So number 7, objects of abandonment of the path of meditation is similar to a tethered cloth, because they are the remainder of the exhaustions of coarse essence. 강사기 다음에
다음에 무슨 토마가 토마데 가디 토바이나 다음에 무슨 토마 들어와 와 데메지 토마데 가디 토바이나 데메지 가서나지 다음에 무슨 토마
강사기 다음에 무슨도 토마
데메지 토마데 가디 토바이나 다음 강사 다음에 무슨 토바데 토마세 와 되게 강사 다음에 무슨 토디 와 강사 다음에 무슨 토디 가르 니 받치면은 데미지 통화 받치면은 지우디 나 가른 님부분이 지구에서나 통보 군다도 봐는 다 뒤에 가서 와 아무 통화 받치면은 지우와 데미지 통화 받치면은 지우디 통보 군다도 봐는 거예요. 예서 와 통보 군다 나 통보 군다도 봐는 거인데
통방이 군다 빵야야나 대 통방이 군다 가야
통보 봐는 거 통보 땅 가는 거와
통방이 군다로
이미 군다 깜빡하는 거와
통방이 군다
통박군다는 이거 통박하는 겁니다. 통박하는 이거와 다른 통박하는 거래서
통방방이래 야나테 통방 군다로
통박하는 거래요. 뒤에 가서 통박방도야 관사지 하드를 가를 하드를 해서나 뭐만 하드를 해서 하바다 관사 하마드 가를 하드에서 데미지 공부하드 하드를 그리다 나와 될 하드를 해서 그리다 나와 오라 공부하드 와 그림도 될 하드를 해서 인타 하다 보니까 될 하바 나 데미지 거나 도지다면 띵인지 빵 해서 다게 빵게 데미지 거나 도지다면 띵인지 요와 나 빵스와 다 빵스는 눈에 채서 다 눈에 이 좀바 치그레서 오와 데미지 거나 아로와 데미지 거나 도지다면 띵인지 다 거나 도지다면 띵인지서 데미지 거나 이긴 타마들이 거나 타마들 맞히면 안 돼. 데미지 거나 이긴 타마 다 팀에서 뭐나 끼지 타마 되게 마치면 되게 다 간다 다 고반 되게 년에 최고야 고반 되게 년에 최고인데 그 고반데 줄을 몇 받잖아 뭐나 도지다 띵인지 강사 저러와 대기를 몇 받잖아 다티 뭐나 도지다 띵인지 저러와 띵인에 최고인데 다 코로나 길라 뭐나 도지다 띵인지 길라 뭐나 봐 저러와 다 거기 길라 돼 뭐마다 가봐 좋아 땡가는 거 다 빠야 수 있방선 빠야 팀에 다시 봐 봐 띵인에 최고 뭐나 도지다 띵인지 고반데 년에 최 내 제수 가디 방선은 내 다시 봐 더 이번
the number lam said
남들라 저도 두개 다시 못 들어
다 좀 봐.
와 얘가 남들라 두개 다시 못 들어 빠야 뒤가 예세 와
Any the temin 통람 바지 멜람 기두 통방
먼저 한번 넣어 가지고 이제
통방 대 빵기를 와기라.
엄마 방선은 다
빵야 나가
좀봐
쇼바로. 쇼바 야나 대 가바기 된다로. 양 통방 야나 대 통방 군다서 대 가기를 좀기로. 네 대 통방이 공부하는 하디요. 네 한번 대 방에는 대 도지다고 띵인진사 대 도지다부 띵인진사 대 대 통람 태민기 공람 기지 하마 디 바지 멜람사 대로 맞아
태민기 공람 도지다부 띵인진사 태민기 공람 기지 타마 바지 멜람데 고방 인연이 지나도 메리트 다 간다 어떻게 고방 인연이 고방 인연이 지나도 고방 인연이 지나 가는 거래 공람 바 그런 지나 고방 가는 거래 다 가디 방거스는 다 대지 나노라 다치마 토노라 나노라 토바다 다치마 토바티냐 나노라 토바다 다치마 다 토노라
빵야당 토바 다주마 토바디 뒤냐
나노라 토디 다치마 토노고레 빠야 티냐 대승갈로 니그와
남조람 다주마 토바당 디 공방 빵바 So the objects of abandonments of the path of meditation is similar to a tattered cloth because they are the remainder of the exhaustion of force essence, right? So because at the young Ningbo Rapa said the young Tongbang Gitendaro. Ningbo Rapa said the young Tongbang. Yeah. So because they are the remainder of the exhaustion of force essence. Force essence refers to the objects of abandonment of the path of seeing. Yeah. So then they are the remainder referred to the objects of abandonment of the path of meditation. And these objects of abandonment of the path of meditation is similar to a tattered cloth. So and because they yeah. So whenever one attains the Hinayana path of seeing, so that is the beginning of the direct realizations of the selflessness of person. So whenever one attains the Hinayana path of seeing, and that is also the beginning of the direct realizations of the selflessness of person. And these, as mentioned just now, when the uninterrupted path of Hinayana path of seeing arises in one's continuum, then the objects of abandonment of the path of seeing cease, right? So the objects of abandonment of the path of seeing cease or are destroyed. In other words, the imputed objects of abandonment of the path of seeing cease or destroyed. And then what are the remainder? So there are something remain. What are these remainder? So the remainder refers to and yeah. So and then the objects of abandonment of the path of meditation still remains. So and these remains are similar to a tattered cloth, and these remainder then yeah. So in order to cease or destroy this remainder, so the practitioner needs to cultivate the Vajra-like meditative stabilization of the Hinayana path of meditation. So basically, one needs to cultivate the Vajra-like meditative stabilization of the Hinayana path of meditation. And these Vajra-like meditative stabilization of the Hinayana path of meditation is the uninterrupted path at the last moment. Is the uninterrupted path at the last moment. So this uninterrupted path at the last moment acts as an actual antidote to the objects of abandonment of the path of meditation. So it's similar to the previous explanations. The difference is one is path of seeing, one is path of meditation. So this Vajra-like meditative stabilization, which is the uninterrupted path at the last moment, acts as an actual antidote to the objects of abandonment of the path of meditation. And the objects of abandonment of the path of meditation in the continuum of a person who is on the path of meditation, of the practitioner on the path of meditation, then these objects of abandonment of the path of meditation cease or are destroyed. And then at that point of time, have these objects of abandonment of the path of meditation been abandoned? Not yet. So the objects of abandonment of the path of meditation have not yet been abandoned when one is on the stage of uninterrupted path of meditation. So then, when these within the same sessions of meditative equipoise, then whenever it becomes the path of release, then these path of release, attainments of path of release, attainments of arhatship, and the abandonment of the objects of abandonment of the path of meditation are simultaneous. I repeat the last part. So whenever one attains the arhatship, wherever one generates the path of release in one's continuum, and the abandonment of the objects of abandonment of the path of meditation are simultaneous. So whenever one attains arhatship, so whenever one develops or generates the path of release in one's continuum, that is the same. At the same time, one abandons the objects of abandonment of the path of meditation. So these three, attainment of arhatship, generations of path of release, and abandonment of the objects of abandonment of the path of meditation, are simultaneous. So in order to realize the basic element, the Tathāgata essence, so these informations, these 9 analogies and meanings of obstructions are very important. So we have 2 more to go in relation to the 9 analogy and meaning of obstruction or obstructor. So we have 2 more to go. So and next class, and we are going to cover the analogy and meaning of the obstruction. Because the analogy and meaning of the objects of obstruction, the basic element. So next class, we are going to talk about this analogy and meaning of the objects of obstruction, the basic element as well. So these are very important. So today we don't have enough time to go through the root verse. So however, these informations are very important. So next class, we are going to continue talking about this analogy and meaning. So today we stop here.
Jeba nyamba mebaya kone kondo pewa jo ni jesu no jube la chiche sese kanji de chana pe mo tenzin ganzo la soa de zo shin de ndo jo de ngana de de ma de ba kane jo sambe yishin no ka de so me tenzin ganzo la soa de zo tu je ndo jo ta me de ma de se le ra zo zan jawa ye se ke ma je ranja shin je chayo ma le be de me ba tu me gele zo go so do be tu de re mo je she da du be zi je be wala na ya mo she se be ko ja je tu me ji zi ba ma soa de pe de ma lu jo ye ko ji bo ya ye tu da ma je do ai de la chi do chen ban je de do bo chi wa chi le yi de ba we da chu zo ge ze ja se na je tu je la bo je lu me de be ya du sa be zo ke za de je be do nyu je ju do ra ra ye ko we shi ba ne pe da de wa ma lu jo 建立生活，电竞教学下面，世界保护电路。